Wait for it. Hi. She doesn't like this. She doesn't like this. Last thing I would want is for her to bite me. At least she made an appearance. Good girl. She doesn't like me right now. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gugzz. If you are new here, welcome. In today's video, I will have this video kind of broken up into two different parts to make it more worthwhile. Part one is going to be a quick story time, just kind of explaining my background with sports. And then part two are going to be do's and don'ts as an athlete. Trust me, you're not going to hear these do's and don'ts from your coach explicitly because these are things that I figured out as an athlete in a very different lens. That's why I think it's gonna be more worthwhile. So, starting off with my story, I have been an athlete pretty much my whole life. I played soccer and basketball growing up. I was taking sports pretty seriously in like grade 10, 11. I was playing soccer competitively. I had my first sort of hindrance in my path. My first block in my career as a student athlete was, I would say, in grade 10 or 11. This was something new to me. I didn't experience not getting the same treatment as other student athletes. I just want to disclose that for the longest time, I was like, this is just in my head. Like, this has nothing to do with being brown. This has nothing to do with it. This is just my skill level and whatnot. That opinion changed when I started learning more about the world. I was in grade 10 and I was on a tier 2 team, and for those of you that don't know how tiers work, basically like tier 5 is like the lowest tier where you're probably new, you want to like, you join at tier 5. Tier 1 is the best, so the most competitive. And I was playing soccer for a while now. I took it pretty seriously. I practiced every day. I made it to tier 2 and the technical coach was the one who invited me because he said I was pretty good. So I was like, okay, cool. I came to the practices and I was pretty good. I was only there for a month for the fall season, and that coach, he wouldn't exactly like give me pointers, and he wouldn't also let me do the drills properly. He wouldn't say anything to me and he wouldn't let me go until the very end, and he would not give me feedback. So I'd be with the partner and he would give my partner feedback. He wouldn't give me any feedback, and he would never look at me or make eye contact, and I don't think he's ever even called my name before. My technical coach was like, hey, I'm so sorry, but like, you're not gonna be a good fit on the team. And I was like, okay, like maybe I just wasn't good enough or whatever, like it's fine, like getting cut comes with the sport. The technical coach was like, no, you're good. He was like, you're welcome to come to my practices every Wednesday. I was like, oh, so then what's the problem? And he was like, well, it wasn't communicated well, but I don't want to say his name, I almost said his name, but that coach at the time, he didn't say anything. He just said he didn't think I was a good fit, and he didn't give any reason for it. So whatever, right? It was a little bit discouraging, but I'm a very optimistic person, so I was like, it's okay, like it's fine, like this happens in life. I just wasn't good enough. So then moving on, in university, I joined track and field, and I've never done track and field in my entire life. It was like my first time trying it ever, and I had a coach. She basically let me train with her. I guess she saw some sort of potential. In that first year of track and field, I did PB every single like 2 weeks. I remember I wasn't nearly as fast as all the other girls on the team, but that was also like my first year. I love the sport, you guys. Like, I fell in love with track and field. At the time, my team was great. I loved the people I was training with. They were so nice to me and they were so good. What happened was that my coach retired and she left to Kelowna. Good for her. So then I had to get put onto another team. It was not a vibe. Like, it was fucked up. This has nothing to do with race or anything, but I feel like it does. That's just my opinion on it. But anyways, this new coach that I had, we had a 2-week trial, and at this point I understood that I wasn't as fast as the other girls. It made sense in my head when he was like, you're just not a good fit. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm cut. Like, I pretty much got cut, and I was really upset, but I was upset because I got cut. I wasn't upset at the coach. I wasn't upset at anyone else. I actually joined another team. I didn't want to stop training. I wanted to train and then try out again for the varsity team. I was already on the varsity team, but I just got cut. Did a whole year of training and whatever, and I'll get to the parts that I learned and didn't learn about this whole new training that I was doing with the new coach, but I did get stronger. So what happened was, the next year, the following year, we have this thing called like the quad, and we do jumps, we do throws, we do all that stuff, and we just test like your strength. And you guys, like, when I did that test and my results were like still up, I believe from like 20 whatever it was, I don't even remember the year, 2018, 2019, whatever, but I had like 5th place in the entire chart. I was much stronger and I was clearly not at the bottom of the barrel, but the coach was genuinely just not okay with letting me on the team still. That's when I was like, why? I am not a bitch. I'm not a rude person. I get along with everyone. It kind of like a little bit of siren started going off a bit, and I started piecing stuff together, and I was like, wait, I don't understand. There's girls that I'm faster than. At this point, I was actually faster than a couple of the girls that were on the team. And I remember confronting the coach at the time, and he was like, oh, there's no chemistry, like, you know, it depends on the team dynamic. And I was like, the fuck does that mean? You just don't want to like coach me? Like, what is it? I was genuinely so confused. So I think you guys are getting the trend right now with me in sport. Essentially, there's always been some sort of like hindrance that has stopped me from going further into the sport. I know it has nothing to do with my athletic ability, because after that whole situation, I got a new coach. She's awesome, and I fucking PB'd in everything I did after 3 months of being with her. Like, I ran the 300-meter faster, I jumped farther, and that's also when I realized that I have potential, and it's because of my coach at the time that I was able to do better in the sport. It had nothing to do with my inability to be a faster or stronger athlete. It had to do a lot with my surroundings. I felt happier with this coach than I ever have with any other coach. So now that we have established kind of the backstory, kind of like where I'm coming from, my experience with sports in general, I want to get into the do's and don'ts as an athlete. Trust me, I've been to the point where I'm like breaking down, crying, hating myself because I'm not performing the certain way I wanted to. I remember those track meets where I literally like ran slower, and though there were a lot of those, and I felt like ass. Just hear me out, listen to the video, hear the tips and tricks, and if you actually apply a lot of what I'm saying, like genuinely integrate it into the way your mindset is around sports, I promise you, you'll do better. Number one, you'll hear this a lot, but I'll explain it differently, but it's mindset. You know when you're nervous and you're about to play a game, or you're about to go to a competition, you're about to race, whatever the sport is, you're nervous before, and that's good. You have to be careful about your thoughts. You can't be scared of failing. For example, when I would get onto the track, I remember being like, oh my god, what if I don't PB? And then long behold, I wouldn't PB. Makes a lot of sense why that would happen. You're subconsciously telling yourself that you're scared of this thing, that you're not gonna perform well. If you keep repeating that thing and that same thought, it's gonna come true, because your subconscious doesn't know what direction you're going in. It just hears what you're scared of, and therefore it's like, oh, she's saying what if this is happening, so therefore this must be real, like this has to happen. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it properly. That's essentially what you're doing. It's like when you keep repeating something, you're manifesting it, and you don't want to manifest the wrong shit. Instead, sit down like 15 minutes before you leave your house or something, like before you actually get to your place of wherever your competition is. Sit down and just tell yourself, like, I'm gonna kill it. There's literally zero thought of failure. There's no way that's gonna even happen. Like, I'm not even gonna let that happen. Like, why would I even think about that happening? It's not gonna happen, so I'm only gonna think about winning. That is a mindset shift. If you have a really good coach, then I'm sure your coach has told you that before, but if you don't have a coach that, I don't know, isn't good, then they probably haven't told you this tip, but it's okay because I'm telling you this tip, and this is coming from an athlete who's struggled. Number two, this is a little bit of an intuitive thing that I really think is very, very important, and as you already know from the story I told, it's very relevant to me. A good coach. Now, what is a good coach? A good coach is someone who cares, someone who supports you, someone who believes in you, and someone who knows the actual sport. Like what workouts to do to most benefit you. They've been in the sport for a while, they have that knowledge. So that's great, and there are so many great coaches that I've come across in my life. There's also good coaches, but they might not be good for you. So if there's a coach who is great, everyone says they're awesome, they're fantastic, and you're with them, but you don't have that same connection with the coach, and the coach doesn't have that same connection with you, and don't be dumb about it. You know it. You can feel when you're not vibing with the coach very well. Yeah, you gotta give it like, I don't know, a couple of weeks, but if it's been like a month and your coach and you don't really get along, like you're not gonna get that far in the sport, because trust me, your coach needs to be on the same page as you. You guys need to have those talks about goal setting. Your coach should be asking you how you're feeling outside of the sport. Everything is so psychological and mental with sports. This is not to put more pressure on coaches out there. Coaches do an amazing job, and it's great what they're doing. They're giving back and they care and they're passionate, but I'm saying that you gotta feel it out for yourself. If there's a coach that ain't on the same level as you, they won't put in the effort into you, and therefore you will not perform in the sport, and therefore you will ultimately either lose love for the sport, lose passion, or you'll simply just quit. And you don't want that happening, right? So you have to remember why you started as well. At that point, it might be rough, but you gotta figure out a good click. Don't be shy to go to your head department coach and be like, this isn't working for me. Like I gave it a try and it doesn't seem like we're a good match at all. It's fine because how long do you think you're gonna be able to competitively do sports? It's pretty much from ages like 17 to like 20, whatever, until you graduate, because after you graduate, you have to work and you have to like start your career in your life, marriage, or travel, or whatever the hell you wanna do. The time that you do have with your sport, you wanna make it worthwhile and you wanna push your limit. You're here to learn about yourself. You're not here to put yourself and others down. That's kind of what happens. That energy transfer isn't the most positive if you're not on the same page as your coach. You know, feel it out. Coach is very, very, very important. Number 3, this one, I'm so sad that I learned about this tip like in my last year, which is probably also another reason why I started doing way better in my very last year with the new coach. It's because I started to let loose. So there is a certain amount of discipline that you need to have with your sport. You have to wake up early and go to practices. You have to make sure you go to all practices. You have to eat clean. You have to sleep well. You have to manage your time. It's definitely a time commitment, not only physically but mentally. One of the worst mistakes you can do is be so strict and so hard on yourself that you lose love for the sport and then ultimately you don't progress anymore. What I mean by that is you are so hard on yourself when it comes to meals. You don't give yourself even one cheat meal. You don't hang out with your friends ever because you're just like, no, I have to like, this is my schedule and that's it. You're gonna end up going down a road of loneliness and you're gonna end up being very upset and not having the best support system. Don't take yourself too seriously. This also might just be a general like life tip. Don't take it so seriously. I know that there are some athletes that are trying to make it to the Olympics. Like, I'm not by any means saying that like you should go party every single time your friend asks you to party or like eat chocolate every single fucking day, but I'm saying that you need to give yourself little moments of happiness or else you're gonna crack because you're just a human. And I'm gonna leave that up to you guys to figure out what the fuck that means. It could mean a bit of like a day of a cheat meal or maybe like once every 2 weeks. It doesn't even have to be a meal, bro. It could just be hanging out with friends or just, you know, doing something different. I just wanted to bring that to surface, that you shouldn't be so hard on yourself, so strict with yourself. Your thoughts, especially in sports, your thoughts really matter. So whatever you tell yourself, it's gonna manifest, and you need to be very careful what you're telling yourself. So if you're gonna be so strict with yourself and you're gonna be so damn hard on yourself, that's not gonna work. Another thing to go with that tip also, what really helps is writing your goals down. So writing your PBs down, whatever your goal is. If you play soccer, maybe your goal is to have these many assists or something very specific to you. For me, it was like I used to write down like what I wanted to, like I used to write my PBs down, and then I'd want to like set a goal that was faster than that, but it shouldn't be unrealistic. I'm actually not going to talk too much about goal setting because I'm 100% sure every single coach has talked about goal setting. This is another tip that is a little bit specific to me, but I promise you this really works. You're doing your sport, right? You're practicing, you're listening to your coach, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, you're eating clean, you're doing all the right things. You need a little bit of variety, so why don't you like go swimming or go to a spin class randomly? If you're at a very competitive level, just listen to your coach. Like, don't listen to me right now. But I used to go once a week to a spin and yoga class, like a hot yoga class. I think that was the reason why I did so much better in like the quad test that I was talking to you guys about, that I got like 5th place or whatever. It was because I was giving myself variety. It wasn't only just track. I did spin and I did yoga, and then I had that variety. It really worked. I'm not sure till this very day if it was just because of the heat, and I just love heat, and I just like, you know, my muscles relax. You know, it could be that, but add some variety. And if you want to go swimming with your friends one day, and go for it. Like, it'll just help your body. Like, this is more of a physical one, but variety really helps. Another tip I'm gonna give, there were just some people who you come across in the sport that are just bitches. They have their own little like cliques, and that's cool. If you want to be like high school like cliquey or whatever, like that's cool. You do you, boo. But like, it was hard for me to make friends because of the fact that, I don't know, I was maybe like not exactly part of the team. My point is that you need to have friends if you're doing a sport. It really helps when you have a good support system. If you had a shitty fucking practice, you can talk about it with someone. I know I had like an amazing friend throughout track. Leanne, shout out to you. Athena, shout out to you, Athena, who is also still my friend to this very same day. And like, just having those friends, you'll notice your mood is so much better, the sport is so much better. So don't be shy to go out of your comfort zone. Yes, there will be assholes. You don't be shy, still talk to everyone. There are some really nice people that I met at track. You know, it's a hit or a miss, but that doesn't mean every miss you just shut off and just like try not to like talk to anyone and just zone out. It's like, no, you know, you gotta like try it out. Like when you're younger, it's more intimidating because people are fucking mean, but like you're gonna meet your tribe with the same vibe if you just like try talking to people. So I never ever in a million years thought I'd ever be like so transparently talking about my experience with track, because it might sound a little toxic, but it also is what helped me so much in life. Here I am talking about it and I give 0 fucks. Anyways, I really hope this video helped out whichever athlete might be going through the same thing. I wish the best of luck to you guys in your sports. You guys are going to kill it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.